What is going on, everyone? It's me, Charles, otherwise known as CPO, CP. WILIscredia Savage Cinema. Welcome. Happy August, everyone. I think this is the first time that I've been live since I had my little mishap in the middle of the month. I got an infection. My gallbladder strikes again, or the remnant of my gallbladder strikes again. Kind of feeling okay now. Might need to take a break here and there, but yeah, the medical situations, they're just a well, is twice a year, is that biannually? It doesn't matter. It's often. It's perhaps once a quarter. So, um, I would politely ask you to look at the goal for today's stream and maybe consider dropping a super chat and ask me something silly about something you've watched for the first time, and maybe you have a different feeling on how I feel about some of my first time watches, a lot of which are brand new. Because I was sick and kind of up on the shelf there, I got to take in quite a few movies. This is probably the most movies or the most first time watches I've had in a month, in a singular month. A lot of greats, a lot of really good new releases this month. But when you're watching movies at home, you're catching up with some old streamers and things that people dare you to watch, and the greats are great, but the awfuls are terrible. And we have a couple in between, a couple of brand new, a couple of old, a couple of ones that I just never really got around to, and finally did. So maybe waiting that long, one is at least 30 years old, and looking back, maybe I can't appreciate it the way I would in the 90s. But regardless, here we are. It's about 20, give or take a movie or two. So as we do it, this is in the order in which I watch them. So it's not by score, it's not by alphabetical order. It is just movies that I watched in order in the month of July. And I think I will include something that I've watched August 1st because my memory's dog shit. Maybe I'll just recover that in the August catch up. Easy for you to say. But without further ado, here we go into the July first time watches for yours truly. And Devil Wears Prada 2 was the first thing I watched in the month of July, and I watched it on July 4th, celebrating independence with a bang there. Devil Wears Prada 2, I gave 3 stars, and my comments were as such. A legacy sequel brought to you by the 20th Century Pictures, now under the banner of Disney, trying to make some important points about journalism and corporations doing typical corporation stuff. Does it have wardrobe changes every 3 minutes? Fine, whatever. I'll look past the irony and teeth this movie pretends it has. Oh, I read that awkwardly. Fine, whatever. I'll look past the irony and teeth the movie pretends to have. Yeah, it's I don't know. In case you haven't noticed, I'm not a fashionista female, so yeah, I probably would not be the target audience for this. I remember not hating the original, but like 3 stars is for me not being the target audience for something. 3 stars is kind of impressive if you ask me. Kind of more of the same. They do lean a bit on the importance of journalism, even though we're doing like fashion stuff. And, monopolies are kind of covered in this. I did not watch the original prior to watching this. So I guess maybe it was a little bit better for me because things were fresh. And if there was repetition in this movie, I certainly didn't notice it because it's been a while. I enjoy most of the, if not all of the main actors in this. So you could do far worse. That's it. Devil Wears Prada 2 kicking off July with a bang. Oh, speaking of bang, the next day, on July 5th, I watched Jackass Best and Last. My reviews are as such on 3 stars. This is a hybrid of older stuff over the course of their history combined with some newer bits that wouldn't really anchor a brand new exclusive project. This feels a bit more like one of those point .5 movies they release a year after their big films rather than a brand new movie. There's a bunch of 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 movies that are just kind of extra leftover shit. If you haven't seen a lot of their material, there are some solid gags here, but this is far from the best stuff they've put together. And I think I feel that way because a lot of this stuff I've seen already. I watched the series on MTV. Some of these clips are kind of like extended versions of things we've seen in previous movies. So it feels like special features. If you're in the dark, like if your first experience with Jackass was like only Jackass 4, there's probably plenty to enjoy here. But I am not that person. I'm quite familiar with a lot of their stuff, so it just feels like a re-release with benefits, but still managed to chuckle a bit. Things I knew were coming, I recognized, and still had a good laugh. And you know, Jackass is this weird anomaly where it's like, as long as I laugh, I don't really care. Its main purpose, as far as I'm concerned, is to make people laugh. And yeah, I did that. Turned my brain off for a little bit, and as much as I expected some of it, I enjoyed some others. Next, oh boy, Passenger, which was a 2026 release. I give it 1.5 stars, and my comments are as such. They literally took the motorhome kill from Jason Lives and made an entire movie based around that. Also, jump scares. Lots of them. Plus, I don't think you can call them hobos anymore. I was trying to be cute on this review. Yeah, a couple decide to be van campers and want to ride around doing van life stuff. And there's some people that you can't pick up, and there's this like hobo uh, lore. I don't know. The movie has some interesting. I don't know. I'm too old. I'm far past the jump scares, enjoying jump scares portion of my movie watching life. I would imagine if you need to be jolted and want to be scared, um, I guess there's something to be had here. Uh, it's nothing that impressive at all. Um, you know, Ghost is haunting the roads. I'm surprised I knew Saint Christopher and all of that stuff. One of the patron saints of travel. Um, this is a very long time ago, and I really didn't enjoy the movie. It's funny that this couple is living in a van together, and they're going through some major real life shit happening in somewhere in the middle. And I don't know. I kind of would have rather just have that story and the dramatics of that play out rather than this be a jump scare riddled horror film. But yeah, um, it's weird. When I looked this up, I saw that the reception to this movie is quite vast, and yeah, I'm just too old. If Gen Z thinks this is good and scary, um, cool. I just don't understand you. Is what I'll say. Oh no. Okay. Um, this is a first time watch of a movie that was kind of sitting around for a bit. This is Lover, directed by Ralph Seppi. I believe this technically is it might just be a feature length movie. It's short. It's short for whatever it is. But Ralph Seppi of Ralph the Movie Maker on YouTube. I kind of enjoyed his Wall Street, the Wolf of Wall Street movie that is just about kids stealing, well, not stealing, but selling candy at school and kind of making a racket off of it. That was a short length. So, yeah, that was interesting. Felt like it was a high school project, and it was quite good. It felt like What if Wolf of Wall Street was done by kids who are in high school and trying to get one over on those stupid papers that you have to bring around and sell candy because I don't know. I don't know what that does other than teach you about what capitalism, making money for some company while you're in school. But Lover, constructive criticism. Here we go. 1 star is what I gave Ralph Seppi's Lover. My words are as follows. I realize I'm rather late to the party, but it's something I finally got around to. I don't know how old the director was when he filmed this, but a heck of a lot of this screams student film. That's a bit odd to me because I've seen a fair amount of his YouTube reviews from around this time period, and I wouldn't have suspected such stark difference in his work. The movie is frustrating for a number of reasons. The composition of a lot of the shots are rather unappealing, but then there will be some shot that I rather think looks great. The first of these to turn my head was a high drone shot of 2 cars following one another. The shot selections go from way too close and handheld to basic establishing shots. There's not much appetite for wide shots featuring our characters, but again, if this is a student film, I can certainly understand the lack of coverage. But this is being sold, so perhaps some of my complaints about this movie stack onto the cinematography, but most of the acting is quite stiff and isn't very engaging. Again, this doesn't help when we're in a wide shot from outside of a car and our couple's first kiss happens rather small on the screen. It's very hard to gauge emotions when the acting is as stiff as it is here, but we can't even hope for some close-ups to let the visuals depict some of the emotions to us. The story needed some sort of information, and it rather lacks it in dialogue and visually certainly leaves a bit to be desired. There's far too much dissonance to have any proper investment in the events of the film. The audio being uneven does no favors for this claim either. Of course, this is only the first feature I've seen from Seppi, and it's 8 years after the fact. I'm hoping this is just a lack of experience with a dash of immaturity, but there's some growth to be had here, but there's also a bit of promise. I was kind of fair with that. Like I said, I'm a fan of Ralph the Movie Maker. It's another like trickle down situation off of Red Letter Media, Red Letter Media, Ralph, Sardonicast. It all trickles down. Like I'm into all of that. But as a filmmaker, it's odd. His reviews around this time are like really funny, really strong. I think I lifted his clip when he's talking about Wonder Woman. I think that's in one of the 31 videos. So I'm a giant fan. This feels like Red Letter Media all over again. I did not like Space Cop quite much so. There's English for you. But as far as Lover is concerned, the black and white, there's times where you can definitely tell he's ADRing stuff. And it's again, it's student film stuff that you can kind of forgive for first timers or whatever, but a lot of this stuff felt like it was a watered down, some sort of bootleg ripoff of Drive, but not. And I don't know. In film school, you shoot stuff that you really think you want people to see, but after a year or two or 3 years or 4 years, you realize, yeah, I didn't know anything. I was still learning things, and I guess that's part of it, is putting your stuff out there and realizing what people have to say about it. I couldn't help but recognize like half of the shots. Some of those shots were like Garden City, Franklin Square, which I've lived in the area, the Westbury area. I recognize a lot of those streets. So it's bad that I was just pointing out places that I've been to. Is it? Yeah, needs work, but this is old by his standards. I don't even think he's this would have been what, in his late teens? So there's that. Next is Driver's Ed, which I watched on the 6th. Man, I had a busy 4th of July weekend there. I gave it a 2.5. I guess if I were in high school, this may be what silly crap like Road Trip was back when it came out. But even if I had, but even that had a bit more bite to it. And knowing that Ferrelli directed this has me puzzled. It's probably far closer to License to Drive than Road Trip in its raunchiness, which isn't much at all, perhaps just the language. But in its sameness is a bit more of a wide scope to be safe with or modern. Utterly predictable, as offensive as original Pringles, and a bit of a letdown when considering the comedic firepower involved in this. Yeah, yet another instance of Charles is just too old. Look at him, he's just too old. That is a Happy Gilmore reference? I don't even recognize my references anymore. But yeah, I think this was straight to Prime. And a lot of it feels, if like you watch high school movies from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, there's definitely a noticeable difference with some of the dialogue and some of the actions of these characters, which, progress is great. But with that, some of the stuff that you're trying to be funny with, it has a heck of a lot more heart, or at least it attempts to have more heart than certainly something like Road Trip and definitely something like License to Drive. So again, it's another instance where I'm just out of the target audience. So yeah, if you're on Prime and you're looking for a new comedy, Driver's Ed, you could do worse. Oh, yay. Next, I watched it on July 7th. It is Undertone, which I gave 1.5 stars to. And I did a shitbag joke review where I said, so a podcast experience that is basically gaslighting via ASMR. Yeah, it's if like sound effects and creepy whispers and shit creep you out, this is ASMR horror. But I am not a fan of that. It had like audio jump scare moments and like creepy things where this woman who's a podcast host and has a partner that they do and they do their podcast with and start hallucinating or thinking they're hearing things, and that's really the main scare front of this is hearing things that are frightening and playing things backwards and trying to figure out what things are being said. It's nothing new, but I get it. If you're 20 years old, this is fresh for you, and you don't have the experience that someone like me does. And if it's good for you, that's great. I would imagine it'd be a decent gateway drug, not literally a gateway drug, but a gateway to different movies like this, and that could be a good thing too. But when it comes to horror, I seem to yuck quite a lot of people's yums. Not the biggest fan of this Passenger and this. When I saw the reactions to them, I was like, I just don't have my finger on the pulse anymore. Oh, anyway, and the hits keep coming. Next is the Audition. This is a 0.5 star rated movie from me. Watched this on July 8th. And if that name sounds familiar to you, it's because it is a remake of Audition with a couple of liberties taken. My review is as such. Oof. Making a review of a J horror classic with barely two pennies to rub together in a post Me Too world, while also avoiding any real reasoning for the casting couch detail, is certainly a choice. I feel bad. There's a couple of actors in here trying to be their best, but this movie lacks a mouth, let alone teeth. So it really just feels pointless. I love it when people who read for a part in an audition tell me key details about a character that they're only just experiencing for the first time. Get that callback ready. What I'm referencing here is um, if you're familiar with Audition, this director sets up this scheme to have women read for a part, and he like checks them out and has auditions to be his girlfriend, and he writes this pseudo phony movie for people to read for, and he ends up finding an interest in some of these girls. This movie does something slightly different, but when these people, the funny thing is, in this movie, they're having people read for all roles, and you have like men reading for roles, you have other people reading for other roles in this fake movie thing, and that kind of, I mean, kudos for covering a lot of bases there, but like the idea, the principle of Audition was for him to like get women to court. And funny thing, when they're reading for their characters, is like, yeah, hi, I'm reading for Greg, the baseball player who has an alcohol problem. And it's just funny when you go to an audition, you get the sides like then. Usually you're like, all right, what's the story on this character? Not quite the opposite. It's interesting that people make a film and have a completely foreign experience about casting. It's hysterical, but I digest. This too is on Prime. I would tell you to watch the Japanese Audition, absolutely, if you haven't seen it. But this is very shoestring. That poster, I would assume, is AI. If it's not, that poster looks way better than anything in the movie, which is saying quite a bit. Oh man, I was on a run here in early July. Run is a 2025 release. I watched it on July 9th. I gave it 1 star. And my thoughts were as such. Wild to think that less than 12 months before releasing the hit Citizen Vigilante, that Boll made a film, Boll being Uwe Boll, made a film about troubles of migrants from the other perspective. There's a few more recognizable faces, so there's a bit more of a decent spread of the performances, but some of the technical issues are here: more erratic cinematography, shots that teeter on exploitation when we're supposed to be sympathetic to certain characters, and still a bit blunt. If I am to think in a shallow or cynical regard, I'm wondering if Boll just films these movies piercing hot button social topics and has just been fishing for someone to look through the filmmaking issues and just be happy to watch something that mirrors their thoughts and lets them live out their fantasies through. If there is something to that cynicism, he finally got his bite on the line. It just wasn't this movie that people took the bait on. Citizen Vigilante. So, yep, I took in 2 Uwe Boll movies within a month. Bad times. I would not recommend Run. Next, Tuner, which was technically a 2025. I think that was new to VOD like now. So 2025, 2026. Tuner, I watched it July 10th. My review is as such. I give it 4 stars. I don't know if I'd call this movie flawless on its own, but when it flows in and out of different subgenres, it really shines at moments. I would say this movie is like Baby Driver meets The Sound of Metal, but has moments where the romance angle is really down to earth and complemented by equally grounded crime sequences. The sound design and editing for certain sequences is rather stellar. While a certain element of this movie felt predictable, the ride and ultimately the closure felt worth the trip. Yeah, this is a guy who has tinnitus, I think. Tinnitus? I don't know how to pronounce it. And very, very similar vibes to Baby Driver. Uh, Needs money for healthcare reasons. Have you heard that one before? I'm living that. Um, so he gets into the wrong crowd there. He has some interesting qualities about him. He's able to pick locks based on the audio, and yeah, meets a girl that kind of draws his fancy and has a bit of a conflict trying to save his Dustin Hoffman grandfather friend person while also courting this young lady who is a piano player who's quite talented, but he's also juggling the fact that he's committing crimes to get by. I don't know if anyone's picked up on this, but there's a lot of movies out there where people do crimes just to pay medical bills. I don't know if anyone's kind of picking up on that habit and things like one of my favorite movies from what was it, 2010? Jude Law and Forrest Whitaker. I forgot the title, where they're selling organs and shit, or people rent their organs. They lease their organs, and yeah, we've learned nothing in the time it's taken since then. If anything, the healthcare situation has gotten worse. And if I could if I had special, I don't know, abilities to listen to a safe and be able to pick it, I'm not saying I would do it, but what I'll say is I understand. Um, it's hard out here. So yeah, good movie, really good time, especially if you're watching it at home. I would recommend watching it with headphones or some sort of interesting sound system because the audio is really interesting. They give you our main character's perspective, and again, the editing and the audio is really impressive. And you have a cameo from a very special actor from a very special series. Next, I finally got around to Backrooms, which I watched on July 14th. I don't know why I'm saying it like I'm in Con Air. July 14th. Is that the day? I think that's the day. My birthday is July 14th. I'm going to meet my daddy for the first time on July 14th. Make a move and the bunny gets it. I think it's 14th. Anyway, my review is as follows. Considering the fact that this movie is something I fundamentally could not get excited about or into, I now understand why there are fans of the series after seeing this. Oddly enough, during the sequences that felt like YouTube videos, I couldn't help but wince at the performances and think of how everything just felt like it was yet another iteration of the Blair Witch Project, but with a different enough twist. It's only during the second half of the movie where I got into the absolutely bizarre spin out of things. Yeah. Don't read and drive. There are moments where the cinematography has this uncanny nature to it, and the framing is that of something where you just know things are a bit off. And in horror movies, sometimes the vibe goes a long way. Some of the visuals actually won me over, even in spite of my rolling my eyes at some of the more stiff moments in the performances. This isn't something I have much interest in revisiting, but I can understand why a fandom for it exists. I want to say that I'm not too big a fan of David Lynch, inexplicably, so there's that. And I gave it 3 stars. There are moments where this feels very David Lynch-y. Granted, I haven't watched all of David Lynch's work, but he's an odd one with his films. There's certainly some odd things that are happening in this movie. It's trippy, it's wild, um, and everything I said about Ralph Seppi earlier, I think he was around the same age. Uh, Guy who directed this, 20 years old when it was made. Granted, Ralph Seppi didn't have a studio behind him making that stuff, so it's just interesting what people can do at certain points of their life, and with money behind them. Yeah, a lot of these movies I'm realizing, especially in the horror stuff, a lot of positive reception for a lot of these movies, and this is the most favorable I've been to something. But when it comes to like Undertone, I can get it. It's just it's not my taste, but I still, 3 stars is something that, like I said, I'm not interested in revisiting, but I appreciated it. Next, man, I watched some shitty shit in the middle there. American Sweatshop, which I think has a different title in the UK. Anyway, it came out last year, although it says it's a 2026 release on streaming, which is on Prime. I give it 2 stars. The Venn diagram factor of this and 2026's Faces of Death has me doubting things. I saw Faces of Death first, so a lot of this movie felt like some sort of dementia memory, but there's some deviations. Most importantly, this movie never really hits an extra gear that draws you in. So if you were to happen to watch this before the brand new Faces of Death, or vice versa, there's going to feel very derivative in one way or another, because this is a tech company that monitors violence and things on social media. It's very similar to what happens in Faces of Death. Faces of Death goes in a bit of a different direction and kind of circles around the fact that the Faces of Death movies and stuff are influencing people, where this is kind of similar, but just if anything, it focuses a bit more on what this type of content can do to people. And if anything, maybe we shouldn't be desensitized to stuff like this, and having to sit there and click through and grade things for 8 hours, and exclusively watching this stuff that, if you're doing your job right, people won't be able to watch it. It would take its toll. And if there's anything I could say about this covered that aspect a bit more favorably than Faces of Death did. Faces of Death, a slightly more expensively made movie, and it feels that. I feel like if you watch one, you really shouldn't watch the other, because they're very samey. I give it 2 stars. Oh, hey, look! I woke up and watched something decent. On July 19th, I watched this little Nolan film called The Odyssey, which I've given 4.5 stars. I would like to watch it again before I really consider whether the star goes up or down. I've seen people say that the one genre Nolan has not done is horror. I would recommend those people check the middle portion of this movie out. Quite horrific, quite incredible indeed. Yeah, there are sequences in this movie that, the middle, or the from about the half an hour mark to about the 1.5 hour mark. The Cyclops sequences is really kind of scary. The pigs sequence, really really gnarly. It's like body horror, and going back to ASMR, a lot of audio shit that just was really gnarly. And it's a rare instance of a 3-hour movie that didn't really feel it. The first 20 minutes or so kind of, take a bit to get going, but from that point on, the movie just goes downhill, and it's like speeding down. Uh, it's a 3-hour movie that does not feel it. It was quite an interesting journey. I like the fact that each little set piece felt like its own little private movie, and that kept me engaged, and I was really kind of invested. I know I read this in high school, but other than the Trojan Horse, I think I remember the Cyclops. Um, a lot of this I absolutely forgot. So it was basically watching something for the first time. And yeah, I would really like to watch it again to see if I like it that much, or maybe I was just fangirling. Oh, oh, and I got around to something else in July. On the 21st of July, I finally ended up seeing The Mandalorian and Grogu, which I gave a 2.5 to. My sentiments. This is a 3 episodes. This is 3 episodes of a show glued together. There's some goofy stuff, some adorable stuff, and some cringy stuff. I would imagine children will have a far better time with this than I did. But why did this need to have a theatrical release? They avoided cinemas for 7 years, only to put out an extended special episode of a show that is hardly special these days. Such an odd release, such an odd choice. Yeah, 2.5 stars for me. It's it is. It just feels like an expensive 3 episode arc of the show. Um, like other than like the TIE fighters kind of like tiptoeing on a ledge, nothing really felt like, oh yeah, this is big budget theater shit here. Another one that I finally caught up with uh, on July 22nd. I finally watched uh, Forget's Revenge. Coralie Forget, who directed The Substance. 4 stars from me. I don't know what took me so long to get around to this, but it's a pleasant surprise. Having watched this after seeing Forget's The Substance, you can see a lot of those flashy filmmaking techniques done here. This is essentially a 21st century version of this is essentially a 21st century twist on I Spit on Your Grave, but in a much prettier package, forgive the pun. All of the great looking images, flashy edits, and discomforting Foley work really heightens the otherwise straightforward struggle, snuggle, revenge premise. Horror has really gotten upscaled in this last decade or so. Yeah, late to the party, but I can see it. If anything, like I'm really kind of honed in on what Coralie Forget does moving forward, as if the substance wasn't enough. Watching this now, and catching up with this after seeing the substance, there's some filmmaking talent there. Doesn't feel like it's a flash in the pan, and yeah, I don't know why these type of movies need to keep getting made, but I get it. I don't know which one would be avoidable. Like if you have issues with the subject matter, like I can't imagine what type of movie people would watch at all. Like if the subject matter is um not for you, I don't know how you can you know you know put training wheels on this and make things a little bit better. But um yeah, I would much rather watch this than I Spit on Your Grave. And if anything, it feels a bit more modern. It's definitely a bit more modern. A lot of the things that happen in this are a bit more believable. Um, but it's a decent ride, and it looks gorgeous. And I mean, filmmaking, and there's some rewarding experiences for people that are awfully shitty in this movie. So you know, oh no, the good run is over. So on the 24th, I watched The Mortuary Assistant, a short one from me, half a star. And I said, what if the cinematographer from Alien vs. Predator Requiem wanted to try and do a dollar store run at the autopsy of Jane Doe. And I could not have put it better myself, even though I did. Very, very, very dark movie. It is a bootleg, poorly lit version of the Autopsy Diary. Diary of Jane, that's a Breaking Benjamin song. Yeah, Autopsy of Jane Doe. Go watch that instead. You'll be able to see things. Very bad movie. I'm actually kind of shocked. So July, as far as like the horror stuff, or the horror new releases, weren't hitting for me. Up. Yep, this is me when I was on the shelf. Caught up with an oldie here. On the 26th, I watched Daylight, the 1996 Sylvester Stallone movie. I gave it 2.5 stars. It's wild to think that a movie like this was considered anything other than melodramatic at any point in time. But here I am 30 years after its release. It's rather melodramatic. Points for the practical effects at a time where buses were staying above 50 miles per hour to avoid exploding. But all the diverse human stories are just a bit too much. I tolerate a bit, but Amy Brenneman saving a locked bus full of prisoners is where I waver. If you were to watch a movie like Airport and then Daylight, you would notice a bit of a lack of progression in the emotional stories. There appears to be shortcuts for the sake of, I don't know, kid, check. Dog, check. You know damn well Rocky's going to try to save them. This is a movie that probably worked in the New York from the mid-90s, post 9/11. All of this stuff just feels too pie in the sky in the face of disaster. Well, it was made in the 90s. Yeah, 9/11 wasn't a thing yet. And yeah, the 90s, this type of stuff was, you know, people were eating this shit up every 3 months or so. So just really late to the party. I didn't hate it, but the melodramatics were a bit heavy. But again, like a lot of the practical effects, oh my goodness, so refreshing to see that. A bunch of recognizable faces in this too, not just Sylvester Stallone, but trying to be the fireman without being the fireman, the guy walking into a trapped tunnel when everyone is trapped in it. It was interesting that they were trapped and he was going to go in there with the like there's a sequence where he has to like jump through fans and they can only turn the fans off for, I think it was like 2 minutes or something. Such a bizarre sequence, but I don't know. There were really fans, so it was interesting. And again, refreshing at the very least. Watching movies today, and you know damn well that sequence would have been all CG. So I don't know. It makes me kind of wish I watched this shit 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't know. Next, on July 26th, I watched Gamer. There are things highlighted in this movie that have a, excuse me, there are things highlighted in this movie that a ton of other movies do better. And those movies probably look something like, Jesus, do I read these when I type them? And those movies probably look like something with sturdy cinematography and editing too. Oh, that's me making a comment on how shaky and unappealing it looks. It's weird how futuristic sci-fi from the 2000s has dated worse than the stuff from the 80s and 90s. The fact that this film looks like it was physically edited by a Parkinson's patient while on a jet ski at high speed may not help either. Wow, someone did not have a good time. For reference, July 19th through 27th, I was not a happy camper, quite uncomfortable. So maybe being extra grouchy, but yeah, not a great movie. Not even Michael C. Hall could save this. I know a lot of people enjoy that dance sequence, but that's not enough for me. Yeah, it's a 1 star from me, dog. Next, Mockbuster, which recently came out to streaming this year. It's technically a 2025 release. I give it 3 stars. It is wild that the director simply asked to direct an asylum film and they said yes. You may think of Obsession as the movie that tells you to be careful what you wish for, but this is that in spades for potential filmmakers. I was sweating through certain stretches of this, but then at certain times I found myself thinking, well, at least the whole crew is there. Rather insightful, and I have some version of respect for the people making these asylum movies now. Yep. Those asylum movies are like the straight to VOD things when, when Jurassic Park comes out, you'll see a Jurassic Hell or something. Asylum does a lot of those. Not quite copycats, but not quite original. It was interesting. Australian filmmaker who couldn't get films made and just asked to direct one of their factory of movies that they release every week or two, and it was interesting, very interesting. But if you've ever done any sort of filmmaking stuff, it's quite stressful. It's a great look at shoestring budgeted stuff. Oh, and on the 27th, I finally caught up with Supergirl, which I gave 2.5 stars to. This is far too mediocre and somewhat redundant to feel either special or necessary. It feels like a second-rate Guardians of the Galaxy without really carving out any real charming characteristic that makes it feel unique. If I had to make a main complaint, it would probably be in the lack of the peerless features. Well, maybe the bizarre needle drop sequence in the third act. That is more a question mark than anything. I'd rather watch any of the Guardians of the Galaxy films over this, and that's something of an issue. With most people increasingly getting superhero fatigue, doing more of the same will speed up the death of the genre. Yeah. The thing, if it's been done before and done better in the past, like if you're going to do more of the same, like Guardians of the Galaxy, but DC and Girl, you've got to be special about it. And this movie really isn't that. It's not offensive. It's not awful. It's not her being a girl boss, and it's certainly not great. It's just unfortunate that, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of these movies that are getting pushed, these superhero movies, it just, I lose interest. And when it becomes like redundant, it's like you're not being fair to the thing that will be original, and I won't end up seeing because of the constant attack of mediocre movies. I don't know if it was offensively bad, that might have been a bit more memorable, but yeah, I'm not the comic book guy. And with that said, hey, 2 comic book movies in a row. I saw the brand new Spider-Man, brand new day. Day 1, I did too. 4 stars from me. I have superhero fatigue. With that said, I rather enjoyed the first 90 to 110 minutes of this movie. I really enjoyed the small scale of Peter dealing with the after effects of the events of the previous movie while also handling some of the latest in New York City villains. I truly could have been content with just Peter and the emotions and dramatics that he had to deal with in regarding not being known and the guilt from his previous go-around. But this is a Marvel movie, and we're about 4 months away from a new Avengers release, so the last half of the movie became something of a spectacle, and oddly enough, that is where I got bored or disinterested in things. Too much, too stuffed, and seemingly all in the last 30 to 40 minutes or so. Even with that, the first 2/3 were strong enough for me to grade the entire experience on that, and less so the overstuffed climax. Yeah, if this movie were to end at a living room sequence with Legos, This might be a 4.5 for me. I really had a good time with the first 2/3 of it. It got way too stuffy in that last act, and too many characters introduced that I don't think really were necessary for this thing, but I digest. And here's a bonus, something I watched this morning. It's technically an August release, but I'll probably cover this twice. I watched Soul Mate, mate with an 8 instead of an A. I watched it this morning. This is in the universe of Megan or M3gan. 2 stars from me. There are plenty of films that have covered similar subject matter. Heck, the last 15 years or so seemingly pumps out one annually. The difference here is that it takes place in the M3gan universe, but is still nowhere close to things like Her, Ex Machina, Companion, spelled with an N, you idiot, and a host of others. But it has little moments that feel like a giant Venn diagram of the genre or subgenre. It's campy and a tad too heavy on the sex/nudity for my taste. Wow, if young me were to hear me talking right now. But if anything, the movie gives you the idea that an AI girlfriend that learns everything from the internet is bound to be a bit corrupt, pun intended. There's tons you can see instead that are better, but this is also like a cursed TikTok speed run through things. I'm also convinced that this is a documentary about both Grok and its owner. And thank God I misspelled companion. Yeah, so that is the summary of the new release or the first time watches for me. Now let me switch to wide here. What's going on? It's pre-recorded Sipo here to do some call to action. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know what you think down in the comments, whether you agree with me or not. I actually quite enjoy discussions from people who don't have the same opinions as me. Or if you think I missed something, I sincerely would like to hear from you, no matter what your perspective, agree, disagree, indifferent. I think having a conversation about these things is fascinating to me. I do like hearing from all ends of the spectrum. And if you do comment down there, some of these discussions could shape future videos. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future content. And if you really enjoy the content and you would like to help shape and support the channel further, there is a Patreon page, patreon.com/WILIscredia, or you can become a channel member right here on YouTube. It really helps me put time and resources together for other content. And in some instances, patrons do shape the content that you see. If you've seen something abnormal and you thought, where's this coming from? Chances are a patron has sent me something to bizarrely talk about. Now, on top of all of that, you get exclusive content and perks and first looks at other things along the way. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Click like, subscribe, comment, all of that. And here's to the rest of me. Yeah, I had time to do 2 things, not 3 things. Yeah, all right, so my reading is done. Let me circle back. I tried to, well, I managed to change my undershirt, couldn't get a new drink. See me later. No, I'm sticking around for a little bit. I just wanted to get the reading portion of the show done, and now I will, I tried to keep up with chat, because I don't wanna explain the inner workings of things, but oh, wow, there's a hole here. I would lose focus, so, apologies. I noticed there weren't any super chats or anything, so, it kind of gave me incentive to power through, or the opposite of incentive, but, Gray brought it up earlier that the editing when speaking of, gamer, that was the editing style of the early aughts. In all fairness, Shaky was seen as stylistic. Yeah, and that, funny that Gray is the one saying this. A lot of this, like, the image, the cinematography were, like, grays and just ugly, not quite blue, like, everything looked like Underworld for 8 to 10 years. Twilight Underworld, Gamer. Um, didn't they redo Death Race? And it was just kind of the same shit. The problem with all of those aughts movies is like they all look the fucking same. Based. Yeah, like they all look like they take place in the same universe, and there's nothing really unique. Like once everyone's doing the same shit, no one's doing anything special. That's why something like um, Strange Darling, I talked about earlier, Revenge, Coralie Forget. If you could use color in a creative fashion, um, I'm certainly all about it. But you can probably beat that to death too. But for a while it was like teals and oranges, and then it became dark, dark gray and like gritty, not quite white, not quite blue. It's a choice. Sorry, Gray, I missed. Um, this is in reference to Daylight. Very good joke. The dad joke. Reddit will appreciate that one. Sean said, "I still have faith in Starfighter." Um, yeah, I don't know. Um, is that still Ryan Gosling, who's doing 6 different things now? Ryan Gosling in Starfighter and Ghost Rider now. I um I wish I could be excited, but I was watching Mandalorian and Grogu and just had nothing. Like I was even like zoning out at times. Like nothing about that movie felt like, oh yeah, this needed to be made. And that's so depressing. It's so depressing saying that about Star Wars. If you were to ask me back after, not even before, after I watched Force Awakens, I would have been like, oh man, this is going to be great. The fucking road ahead is paved in gold. Nope. Nope. Things have gotten very, very, very uncomfortably bad. Um, I, 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 I hope that it's good. Of course, I do. Despite what it seems like, I really do want to enjoy movies. Just so happens that I tend to watch a lot of stuff that I don't have a good time with. I'll be honest with you. If I enjoy something, I will say so. Maybe I'll be a little harsh, and something that I really love, I'll give like a 3.5 or a 4. But my idea of a good time isn't watching 21-star movies in a month. So, of course, I would like it to be special again. I don't know what they need to do with Star Wars. Um, I would get away from the Skywalkers. Eh, if they could make something along the lines of Andor, I don't know if they would do it though, because Andor isn't really targeted at children. But man, it was really good. If they could make something that feels like it's its own little story, while Andor really kind of isn't, because it's the prequel to the Death Star heist thing. Um, if they could make like a contained story that is special in its own way, but also feels different, unique, necessary, um, that's a good first step. I would like to see Disney and even Marvel at this point stop doing things like it's 2015, because that trick is old now. Planning and just knowing and hoping that the audience will be there, it's just not the case anymore. You've got to start working for it. You got to start earning it again. I mean, shit. It's very exciting to be a horror fan. Yeah, Backrooms and Obsession just on their investment, they're slaughtering, which does mean that when the studios get involved, they're going to have a bunch of watered down copycat shit. And that Soulmate with an 8 is no different. It's part of the Megan M. Thregan extended universe, and it's It's AI girlfriend who happens to be jealous. Um, it's nothing new. There you could have 15 different aspects of an AI movie in there, and in whatever different aspect you would like, it's been done better in movies in the past. It's just, you can tell when studios just try to do shortcuts, and the thing is, you can't do that. Obsession doesn't feel like it was driven by a studio. Backrooms, how could a studio come up with something like Backrooms? Sometimes you just gotta, you don't need to drop $150 million into something. What Obsession cost less than a million? You just gotta work harder to get the good stories. Um, no shortcuts, studios. Doc says I'm pleading the fifth on this year's movie style. I've seen Obsession, Mortuary Assistant, Backrooms, and Project Hail Mary. That's it. A couple of well, actually, it's like stud, awful, stud, stud. It's only one dog shit movie. Although I don't know how you felt about Mortuary Assistant. I mean, those are one, two of those. Half of the movies you've watched are like in my top three. Hopefully, the Goose will also take up the Ghost Rider mantle. Ghost Rider. Who's Goose? Oh, Gosling? Ryan Gosling? Did you mean to spell right? Oh, yeah. Are you taking a jab at me? Ghost Writer with a W, so that I can be in the karate class with him. I mean, another point of the studio mindset. This person's working. This works. Put them in everything. Mortuary Assistant is better as a game. That's my main thought. Yeah, I don't know if that's an endorsement or not. I don't think it is. Um, my biggest issue with Evil Dead Burn was the story and the characters. But other than that, how was the play? Um, I have not seen Evil Dead Burn. I would really like to rewatch Rise before watching Evil Dead Burn. I was too busy watching absolute dog shit instead of watching Evil Dead Burn. Yeah, I watched a bunch of. Uh, can you tell I was on my couch with only Prime at my fingertips? I do not advise anyone watch things like the Audition. I mean, I guess the only benefit is it's in English in case you have a hard time with subtitles. But yeah, I would have much rather watched Evil Dead Burn rather than Mortuary Assistant. Run. What the hell else was I watching? Just a lot of dog shit. I just was not a fan of. Undertone was unique. I get it, like for this generation, for shit. I mean, you would think it would really be a hit with me with the the podcasty, the audio angle. Um, but I don't know. It felt like it leaned on jump scares a little too much. And Evil Dead Burn, I've heard positive things about it, but I don't know how to gauge that because when it comes to the horror community, it's becoming like the Star Wars community where you can find whatever opinion you're looking for if you look hard enough. Where Undertone, I saw 5-star reviews, half-star reviews, 3-star reviews. So it's received it differently across the board. Ryan says Evil Dead Burn was my most anticipated movie of the year. Ended up being my least favorite Evil Dead, but it was okay. Well, that is not a ringing endorsement, I don't think. Um, Yikes. Huh. Did I miss anything else? Casting Couch, the movie. Yeah, that was uh, the Audition. Just watch the learn to read and watch the Japanese version of Audition. Let's go to the poll. The question in chat was, if you could only watch one of the new releases of July, which would it be? 5% of you said Her Private Hell, the new Sophie Thatcher movie, which I'm intrigued with. I'll probably have watched it by the end of the year. Evil Dead Burn with 26%. Spider-Man Brand New Day tied with 26%. And The Odyssey with 42% of the vote. It's in, I really wish I could do more. It probably would get way more wide in the voting, because someone actually voted. Seems like one person voted for Her Private Hell. What's his face? Araki has a new movie, Araki, not Iraqi. Has a new film. I think it's called I Want Your Sex. And do I still have the clip? I don't think I do. Damn it. One of my most curious case of dialogue. And what did he direct? Is it this?
Fuck me up the ass with your hot teenage cock.
I found it. Yeah, Mysterious Skin. Bizarre movie. What the hell is the one with... There's a couple of movies that feel wild, and Araki has a fan base. Right, you've seen it already? Grace says, I Want Your Sex was better than I thought it would be. Unless you're just trying to court me. Which, if that's the case, then I don't know what you've heard, but it wouldn't be good at all. So I don't know if it came out this weekend or last weekend, but it's new-ish. Yeah. If you liked his take on stoner comedy, Smiley Face, this is his take on a sex comedy. I didn't hate Smiley Face. Smiley Face starred Anna Faris, and it was fine. Anna Faris is a really good comedic actress, and yeah, I think his subject matter, I can't properly respect some of it. Mysterious Skin, I could not appreciate like the tone of things, and something. What the fuck was the one where there was a thing in the fridge in the basement, but the basement was like a ginormous room? What's her name? I forgot her name. She used to date Aaron Rodgers. That was a bizarre movie. Damn it. I had my audio bar on double-digit volume. You vanilla twink. Were there other people in the room? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Like, the language from that would have been worse than anything I would have said? Yeah. Shit, I'm gonna have to look because this is really frustrating me. Ken Araki? Is it Ken? Nope. Nope. Why have I forgotten your name, sir? Greg Araki with 2 G's? It is. It is. Oh, it's not working now. God damn it. All right, well, I tried. Greg Araki directed Mysterious Skin, an episode or two of the Dahmer series on Netflix, Smiley Face. And the one I've seen is White Bird in a Blizzard, which stars, what is your name? Shailene Woodley. That's her name. The ex of, or I don't know, current interest of Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, White Bird in a Blizzard, I gave a 2-star. I watched that recently. That might be on one of these episodes. Um, Mysterious Skin, I gave 3 stars, and that was some interesting subject matter for the Iraqi style. I could have swore there was at least one more that I've seen. Oh, is it Smiley Face? And Smiley Face, I gave it 2.5. Forgot John Krasinski's in it too. Um, Forget what you would have said. The people around here are used to what I say daily. All right, well, it wasn't that much of a jump scare then. Hearing Western music would have grabbed their attention more than. Well, okay. Yeah, I would not want to have my material on if children are present. Brian was here for a little bit last weekend, and he brought a little bit of shark bait with him, and I was sweating in my own house, trying to figure out how to speak without cursing, without saying something dumb, and that's for me. Without cursing and saying something dumb, it's like breathing for me. But I think I did all right. Um, we'll see. We'll see if Brian keeps talking to me. But yeah, ain't no children here, thank God. Indeed, I try to keep things children free, but um, alas. So looking forward to August. I've already watched Soulmate. I Of the new releases, I'll probably try to see I Want Your Sex, but um, the Anne Hathaway Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, House on the End of the Street, that looks interesting. I don't know if I've said the name of it right, but uh, this block gets transported to a different time or what? I like that it's vague. I don't really exactly know, and they're transported to a place where dinosaurs are running around in their neighborhood. Hopefully, it will wash out the taste in everyone's mouth of whatever the fuck Jurassic World has been all these years. And I really liked Jurassic World. It got progressively worse. I'm someone who I will stand Jurassic World. I get it. It's a remake. It's a reboot. I kind of appreciate some of the things that that movie did. I, I cannot defend any movie after that. Dude, my mom has informed me that something of an adopted sibling and her toddler will be visiting. I'm over here like, why do you do this to me in my own house? Dude, that's what I'm saying. The end of Oatmeal. The end of Oatmeal? Oh, is it Oak Street? Is it Oak Street? Did you have a correction with the the uh, the good old Facebook Messenger chat where it just says, "Did you mean ducking?" No. The end of Oat Milk. Yes, it's the end of Oak Street. Now, the taste of oat milk, and it won't load. It won't load for me. Well, not that you guys can see it anyway. I don't know what happened. Uh, After a mysterious cosmic event rips Oak Street from suburbia and transports their neighborhood to someplace unknown, the Platt family soon discovers that their very survival depends on them sticking together as they navigate their now unrecognizable surroundings. No correction, just a better title. I agree. I agree. The taste of oat milk. I'll put that as a 1B. Yeah. So the end of oat milk, or the end of Oak Street, if you're trying to buy a ticket for it, probably the tip of the iceberg for me in August. Um, Gonna start watching other things. I don't know if it would count in these first time watches uh streams, but gonna catch up on the Resident Evils and It's been a while since I've watched the Resident Evils. We only have like what 6 weeks left before the new one. Um, I rewatched the OG. I think I appreciated it a heck of a lot more when it first came out, and probably on a rewatch in the subsequent years. But I don't think I've watched it since Final Chapter came out. That too falls under the. It was filmed in the aughts, so everything is kind of titanium and blue looking. Um, I'm concerned because I used to think that 2002 Resident Evil is like top 3 in the franchise, although that could still be the case. Um, I don't remember if I liked the second one more or the third one more, but after the third one, it gets very, very difficult. And I think I might like Welcome to Raccoon City like way more than everyone else. And it's like if we're counting all of the Paul W.S. Anderson movies with anything that has Resident Evil in the title, I think Welcome to Raccoon City is in the top half of the franchise, if not top 3. So we'll see. Maybe considering my memory, and I haven't watched the movies since 2017 at the latest. Maybe I'll redo. I'll treat it as if it's a first time because um, it's sort of new to me, and a couple of other things that will come up for different reasons, and they'll be first time watches. And let me know down below how you felt. Please click the content and interact and all that other fun stuff. Oh no, I've been Charles. You haven't.